Wow, what a day for crypto. We saw prices absolutely surge on news that, get this, had pretty much nothing to do with tech and everything to do with what's happening on the world stage. So let's break down exactly what happened and why it matters.
So the big question on everyone's mind is, what was it? What lit the fuse on today's absolutely incredible rally? Well, it wasn't some new tech update. It wasn't another ETF getting approved. The answer, as you're about to see, came straight from global politics.
Here's how we're going to tackle all of this today. First, we'll dive into the big story. Then, we'll look at exactly how the market reacted. After that, we're covering the key moves from institutions and corporations, checking out some major tech trends and threats, and then we'll tie it all together to figure out what it all really means for you. All right, let's get right into the main event. This is the single headline that really sent shockwaves through the market today.
So the headline that just blew up everyone's feed was Bitcoin absolutely blasting past $77,000 and then $78,000. But the reason why, the catalyst for all of this, came from a completely unexpected place.
And here it is. This is the piece of news that moved everything. Reports started coming out that Iran had declared the Strait of Hormuz, a supercritical shipping route for global oil, would remain completely open. This was seen as a huge de-escalation of tensions in the Middle East. As a result, oil prices fell and investors everywhere suddenly went into risk-on mode. And crypto? Well, it led the charge.
But it's not all clear skies ahead. As this quote from CoinDesk points out, that initial burst of excitement might be wearing off a little. Investors are now kind of in a wait-and-see mode, looking for actual proof that things are really calming down for good.
Okay, so let's dig into how this news actually rippled across the entire crypto world, because the impact was immediate and it was widespread. It was a sea of green out there. At its peak, Bitcoin rocketed to a daily high of $78,348. That's a level we haven't touched in weeks, and it just goes to show how powerfully the market reacted to this bit of geopolitical relief. Now, this is where things get really wild. The entire crypto market cap jumped over 7%, which is huge. But look at that liquidations number, up almost 120%. That's over $617 million in short positions, people betting the price would go down, that got completely wiped out. It was a classic short squeeze, and it just added a ton of fuel to the fire.
And here's where you can see the ripple effect spilling over into the traditional stock market. MicroStrategy, which is the biggest corporate owner of Bitcoin, saw its stock jump over 12%. This move officially put their enormous Bitcoin treasury, which had been underwater, firmly back in the black. A huge win for them.
And even with all this crazy price action, the steady drumbeat of institutional adoption and big corporate moves just kept on going. It didn't slow down one bit.
So we've got a few really big moves to unpack here. First up, Kraken's parent company is buying a derivatives exchange called Bitnomial for a cool $550 million. Now, why is that a big deal? It gives Kraken a fully licensed U.S. platform for derivatives, which is a massive step for them to offer more regulated mainstream financial products. They're playing the long game. Then, we have a U.S. Congresswoman, Cherie Biggs, disclosing that she personally invested up to $250,000 in a spot Bitcoin ETF. It's not just about the money. It shows crypto is gaining real acceptance, even inside the halls of Congress. And finally, Sam Altman's WorldCoin is upgrading its system to help fight deepfakes, and they're partnering with huge names like Zoom and Tinder. That's Web3 identity tech making its way into apps you use every day.
Okay, so now let's zoom out a little bit from the daily price charts and look at some of the bigger, longer-term tech debates that are really shaping the future of this whole space. So there's this topic that sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie, but it's a very real concern: the quantum threat. Essentially, it's the risk that someday a quantum computer will become so powerful that it can just break the encryption that keeps every single Bitcoin wallet secure. And the debate about what to do is, well, it's pretty intense. On one hand, you have this very real threat of theft on an unimaginable scale. On the other hand, there's a proposed solution. It's a network update called BIP361 that would basically force everyone on the network to move their coins to new quantum-resistant wallets. But yeah, this fix is nowhere near as simple as it sounds. As Cardano's founder Charles Hoskinson points out, it's pretty much a hard fork in disguise, a major and often very controversial network upgrade. And he also highlights this huge flaw. The plan can't actually save the oldest Bitcoins, including the legendary stash belonging to Satoshi Nakamoto. Why? Because those old coins use a type of address that reveals its public key the first time you spend from it. So in a quantum world,
The very instant you try to move those coins to safety, a quantum computer could snatch them.
And while some developers are focused on these long-term threats, a lot of companies are jumping on today's biggest opportunity, AI. We're seeing this major trend now where crypto miners are pivoting. They're raising millions, not for more mining rigs, but to build out high-performance AI data centers. They're basically using their expertise in cheap power and infrastructure to get in on the AI boom.
So after a day that was just packed with geopolitical drama, huge price swings, and these really deep tech debates, what's the big takeaway? What do we really need to remember from all this?
All right, let's boil it all down. Here are the 4 key things to take away from today. First, it's undeniable now. Geopolitics can be a primary driver for the crypto market. Second, that massive short squeeze showed us there was a ton of bearish sentiment out there that just got completely steamrolled. Third, behind the scenes, institutional and even political adoption is just chugging along steadily. And finally, these complex, futuristic problems like the quantum threat are moving from what if to what do we do now?
And all of this leaves us with one final, and I think really crucial question. For years, one of Bitcoin's biggest selling points was that it was a non-correlated asset, a safe place to be when the rest of the world went crazy. But after a day like today, where it rallied right alongside other risk-on assets, is that story still true? That's definitely something to think about as this market keeps evolving.